How many Luke Combs songs have you written? And how many number ones? Just so the people know the magnitude of what's going on right now.
I think it's somewhere around 30, maybe a little north of 30, something like that. And 6 number ones together with him. Again, never could have dreamt that up in a million years, and especially in the early days, we didn't have deals or nothing. There was nothing that would have said that other than his unbelievable. He's a world-class singer. I don't know that I've ever heard a better singer. It just happens to be one of my best friends in the world. But first of all, I moved to town when I was 28, 3 days before my 29th birthday. Now I remember, that's late. That's like sort of, and I remember moving to town feeling like, man, I'm so late to the game. I'm truly an insane person for even trying this. I was back home, had a girlfriend at the time. I went to Georgia. I got a degree. I had
in what?
Education. I even stayed and got my master's degree. I had started like a life. And then I started playing music in college and stuff. And then when I moved back home, which is Harlem, Georgia, on the weekends I was still playing and formed a band with a buddy there and stuff. But I came to a crossroads where I was like, all right, I got to make the decision to this is either just going to be like a hobby for a lifetime, and that's okay, or I have to jump off the bridge and trust the parachute, and really take that leap of faith and to can I do this for a living? Can I chase my ultimate dream, which is to move to Nashville and try to do this thing for a living. And for me, it was like, and I truly remember this, and I think it's important. If we're talking about my story, it's important to mention this, that I remember there was a moment where I went back and forth, dude, for about a year. I was like, I'm not going to move. I am going to move. And then 2 weeks later, it was like, that's crazy. I'm not going to move. Like I said, my whole family there, I had a girlfriend there, and I had a job and stuff. And then I literally remember just praying to the Lord. I was like, Lord, help me simplify this, because I can't make the decision on my own. Either help, give me a sign, or help me in my heart kind of understand where it's pointing, instead of I was just so torn. And 2 things happened. I remember I was like, this thing just hit me one day, and I was like, I asked myself a question. I was like, I need to have a yes or no question. And the question for me was can I wake up one day at 50, 55, whatever, and look back and wonder what if? Can I live with that if that happens? And it was just a very clear, no. That is not something I can live with. And I remember being still sort of bargaining, kind of being well, can I trust myself? Can I not?
Yeah.
And I remember the same week that I sort of was praying that prayer about Lord, help me, make a decision on this, because I can't do it on my own. And this fellow played bass with me in my band. Ended up playing bass with me a long time in the band. But on the one trip, I had come to visit Nashville a couple years before that, maybe a year before that, before I moved. I had met this guy who went to school pretty close, the same county I went to school at, but he lived up here doing just he's doing some, he was writing and playing bass for people and stuff. And I had met him, and I opened up, I was at work at the time. I was selling gym memberships in Augusta, Georgia, because that gave me the way to I could work during the week and I could play shows on the weekends, kind of thing. And during lunch, I opened up my Facebook, and his remember statuses? We had statuses for a while. His status literally was hey, I have a 5-bedroom house we're renting. I have 4 roommates. One of them's moving out. Will someone take this room? And literally I'm telling you right that second, I hit message him. Hey, I'll take it. This was in January. And I was like, hey, I'll take it. It might take me till April, but I'm in. I'll send you the first month's rent right now. And it was just that was, to me, it was just an undeniable sign that that's what I'm supposed to do. So anyway, and then it was my goal to all right, I got to be up there before my 29th birthday. And so May the 12th comes 2014, 3 days before my birthday. And I load everything up, moved to Nashville, and met John Langston on the way. We had been like talking on Twitter and stuff, but he ended up moving the same day I did. John did. Wow. Same exact day. And so my birthday's 3 days later. I called John and I'm like, hey, I know that we're not really friends, but we just met. But it's my birthday today. Like, do you want to hang out? He's like, dude, yeah, let's go to. We ended up going to Buffalo Wild Wings. We're sitting there, and he literally gets this text. I know that we kind of talked about it earlier. We get this. He gets a text, and he's like, "Oh, dude," and I'm like, "What?" He goes, "We got to wrap this up. I got to get back to my apartment." And I'm like, "All right." He goes, there's a guy coming from out of town. He's here to record some songs, but he's going to move later this year. But he's here, this week, and he's supposed to stay on my couch, and like he's there. So he's like, come hang out with us. So we get there, and the guy ends up being Luke Combs. And it was that night, like my third day in Nashville. And at the time, I mean, Luke maybe he had some traction on Vine or whatever it was at the time, and obviously had a great voice, but I didn't really know much about him. But that night we got to talking about music and just Eric Church mainly, and kind of just hit it off because, it was just, sometimes you meet people and you're like, we're cut from the same cloth kind of thing. And you can't put a finger on it. It just is what it is. And so when he moved to town that September, we had exchanged numbers. And so when he moved to town, he called me and we started hanging out. And, then and at first we were just sort of hanging out and being friends and listening to music, listening to Keith Whitley late at night. And then, we're like, hey, we ought to try to like write some songs. And the first song we ever wrote was Beer Can, which ended up being on his first album.
Yeah, it's a banger too.
And with James McNair was the first song Luke and I ever wrote. And that's kind of how we met. And then, and it stayed. I mean, we were just talking about deer hunting today. Like, I mean, I think that's what's cool about, there's a testament to him and everything that's happened in his career. And, I've been lucky enough to have a front row seat to it. But our friendship has never changed, never wavered, and never and we've always said to each other, we've even spoke this out loud before, like, hey, our friendship comes first, like before any of this music stuff or whatever. That stuff's fleeting. I mean, we care a lot about it. We're passionate about it, but like our friendship means a lot. So like, let's make sure we prioritize that. And we have, which I'm super happy about. But